Hey everyone, and welcome to Geeksvana Live. And as Rob Piker Drones UK said, to the longest live stream introduction on YouTube. Although I think there are some longer out there. I am thinking about reducing that soon, but we'll see. We'll have a play with it. We actually have some different idents and some different branding bits and pieces coming out very, very soon. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening. It is another start to the week, so we must have another new DJI drone on the horizon. It's been at least a week since we talked about something like that. Great to see everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Val's Life Val, hi, great to see you. Lynn Smith, great to see you. Rob Piker Drones, as I was saying, hi. El Smeghead, hi to our moderator there. Good to see you, sir. The Hovering Shutterbag, thank you very much for becoming a member of the channel. I know you were a member under your other name before, but I really appreciate you becoming a geek level member. Your support and the support of the other members in the chat is just huge. People like El Smeghead, Crowder Space Drones, Philip Koshat, Andy Keast, etc. All of our members there. Mark Lum, good to see you as well, sir. Andy Keast, if I mentioned you, and of course Mike Drennan, hello, sir. It's a huge help and a direct way of supporting the channel, so I really do appreciate it. Apologies, I missed the last live stream on Thursday due to technical issues. I was then a little bit poorly over the weekend, so couldn't do our members exclusive live stream, but we're going to be doing that this coming Sunday. But it's good to be back, feeling a lot better today, and we have, of course, some breaking-ish news to bring you regarding the DJI new DJI drone. So as we know, we've all been on a bit of a DJI release boom in the last few months, bringing us everything from gimbals to drones, and even the exciting new DJI FPV drone, which I am having a lot of fun flying, it has to be said. It seems the drone maker is in full flow, and with a host of new products rumoured for 2021, we have what appears to be an exciting new product or refresh about to get a release. Now, as regular viewers and drone rumour fans will be aware, one great source of knowledge when you are looking for information on new drone and tech products coming to the marketplace is the FCC database. The FCC is responsible for managing and licensing the electromagnetic spectrum for commercial and non-commercial users. So essentially this includes anything which transmits a signal. Companies like DJI have to apply to the FCC for a license before they can release their product, which it intends on using radio transmissions in the USA. For this to happen without too much of the company's intellectual property or product launch details getting out before launch, the FCC grants a certain amount of time where a filing will only show strictly certain information. This includes redacting much of the information, so you don't get the product pictures and product prints, etc., and that type of thing. However, one part of the information that you do get, which is actually quite handy, is often the battery label and the location of the battery label, which in itself can give a lot away about model numbers, size of the battery, so you can tell if it's a drone or a gimbal or that type of thing. And so that in itself can give a lot of information. And we have seen a new FCC filing, which I will show very quickly on screen here. This is what one looks like, and it basically brings all of the spec details. As I say, an awful lot of it is redacted, but it does allow you to click in there and bring up things like product labels, etc. I will put a link to this particular FCC filing in the description after the show. But yeah, we're going to run through and see some of the information that we can glean from that, but also look at some of the specs that this refreshed drone essentially will have, and look at something that might actually be quite interesting in terms of the UK market and the EU market as well, because there's a couple of things that might get excited, but I wanted to bring it up now so that we don't get too excited about it, because we have we're not entirely sure what's going to be happening in terms of the C labeling and that type of thing. So let's have a look at the label that's on there. So as you can see here, it's marked as the DJI Air 2S. Now the size of the battery, 3500 mAh, obviously tells you that this is the same size as the original DJI Mavic Air 2. I'm now already saying the original DJI Mavic Air 2. It still feels like quite a fresh drone to me. But yeah, so it's still the same size. And of course, it has the S at the end there, which suggests that it's going to be some kind of, if it was a Golf GTI S or something, it would be an even sportier version. And interestingly enough, here they've again dropped the Mavic name as they did with the Mini 2. So rather than being the DJI Mavic Air 2, it's the DJI Air 2S. So that's interesting in itself. One part which will be of interest to the European and UK audience is this part here, where we are now showing a UKCA C label rather than just the old CE label, which of course is something which has changed since Brexit. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, does this mean this is going to be the first C1 or C2, etc., classed and labelled drone? I personally, I don't think so. The information that I have is that that won't necessarily be possible at this point. Although nothing is out of the bounds of possibility. It would certainly make sense for DJI to release a refreshed version of the Air to have those labels. For anybody that doesn't know, the idea of this is basically that in the EU, under the EASA regulations, and under the UK with the UKCA markings, we're going to have class drones from essentially C1 to C4, C0 to C4, which are going to allow you to fly those drones in certain airspace, depending on having a few different factors, like a slow mode button on the controller, which, if you were to get a good C2 class drone in the UK, would mean you'd be able to get within 5 meters of uninvolved people if you hold an A2 certificate of competency permission from the this UK CAA. So that could be very, very exciting. And certainly we're still waiting to see the first drones that will hold those markings. This new label is obviously looking to conform to the new UK regulations since Brexit and the UK CA marking. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a CE or a C label for this drone. It doesn't mean we're not, though, either, because I would be surprised to see a refresh model coming on the market, which could perhaps not have that on there. So let's have a quick look. I'm going to come onto the chat in just a moment to see what everybody is saying about this one and what they're thinking. But let's have a look at some of the specs that we've gleaned both from the FCC filing and from the other rumours and leaks that we're getting. So we are moving back more into the rumour side of things here, just so people are aware. So the Mavic Air 2S rumoured specs, 64 megapixel, f-stop of 1.9, 26mm wide lens, and moving up to the Sony IMX686 on the camera. So that's potentially quite exciting, I think. I think that we obviously would need to see some kind of improvement in terms of the drone being re-released and expecting people to fork over their hard-earned money for yet another DJI drone. So it'll be very interesting. I'd like to see just what people's are talking about in the chat here. I did notice somebody said perhaps the S could stand for small, for the fact that the drone will be a small drone. Possibly, we could see a lightweight version of the Air, which might help with the EASA and UK drone class system. But the fact that it's the same size battery, I'm not sure. I think overall we're going to see an improved drone with a better camera and that type of thing, rather than necessarily it being particularly lighter specifically. One good news source for this type of thing, and he's already had an article out on this earlier today, is Felix over at Quadcopter Guide, which is quadcopterguide.com. I'm going to put a link to his story in the description below. But he's put up the initial information that he's aware of it, which again is the fact that DJI using the IMX 586 sensor in the Mavic Air 2, and that's the IMX 686, which this new drone will have, will feature a larger sensor and 64 megapixels. So it'll be interesting to see what further information Felix is able to glean as time rolls on as well. So that's in a nutshell the information that we have. As I say, to me, as a UK consumer, this label in the bottom left, I feel like it gives me hope, but not necessarily overwhelming hope that we're going to see a C label. But who knows? I have to say, I am not sure, and I'm sure the UK flyers in the chat will agree with me. I'm not sure I would be ready to replace my Mavic Air 2 for just an improved camera. I mean, we don't know. There could be other amazing bits of spec that will push us over the edge to buy this. But I think I would like to see a C label on this drone, so that I can fly it with my A2 CFC. If that was to happen, I could almost guarantee that I would fork over my cash and put that forward. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Michael Ghost, the old codger, good to see you, sir. DJI is not getting any more of my money until they release the Mavic 3. And I feel like a lot of people do feel that way. Shipper's Dronefield, is this C label from June 2021? I think the C labels actually have to come in at the end of the legacy period, is when you can no longer sell the drones. But again, who knows if the legacy period will be extended? Who knows what else is coming with things like remote ID and everything else that could change in the meantime? So I think that it's there is potential there. It would be nice to see. I have to say, I don't know, because even with the FPV drone, a lot of the feedback that I got from the UK and European audiences was very much focused on whether or not the fact that it's C rated. And a lot of people who email me asking, should I buy this drone or that drone, etc. Again, their issue during that conversation is dishing out for something like the Mavic Air 2 or the Mavic 2 Pro. They're concerned about what happens at the end of the legacy period, where of course all of your legacy drones will then be pushed into the A3 far from people category. So forking out £1,000, £1,500 or €1,500 for a drone that can only fly for that long is something which is of an issue. Austin G says, I have an A2 and yes, I would purchase if this had the new labeling. Yeah, exactly. And you would have to look at their marketing from the point of view that you would hope that they would look at the marketing to say, are we going to sell enough of these units? And I know the UK and the EU are smaller markets than, of course, the huge US marketplace. But, surely at some point they're going to have to re-release this drone with a C label. And I would hope we're going to see that one here. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens from that point of view. Okay, so that's basically all of the news that we have for you on this particular release today. As I said, I'll put the link to this FCC filing in the chat, so you can all have in the description, so you can all have a little flick through there and see what you think. So yeah, it'd be interesting to get feedback and to see what people think in the comments after the show. I will always go back through and read those. So as I say, thank you very much for joining us this evening. I appreciate everybody who's joined us in the chat. It's been an interesting one, not one I expected to go out with necessarily today, but I was just pushed over the brink by the fact that we just have that little bit of extra information. I have heard about the potential of this drone, but having the FCC label out there meant that I felt confident to be able to move forward and make a leak stroke rumor video, I suppose it is, although we do have an FCC label for it, so it's a little bit more than that. So thank you everyone for joining me, and I will see you next time on Geeksvana Live. Thanks, guys.
a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks that I know. I'm getting tired of talking.